Alright, action lights. Oh yeah. It's 2024. I've got my Superior Gear 0 Fahrenheit hammock here. It's a 10-foot long. And if you're watching this, just kind of like a couple tips I've learned using it. I think this is my third or fourth year with this hammock. It's a 10-footer. One keynote, I never actually planned on laying in the hammock without my pad. It was all kind of like I was like 11 foot, 10 foot. I used my pad a lot, just to supplement my lay, and I always have it with me. So that's how I always been. But it lays good without the pad. You know, it lays pretty good either way. You're like, why are you using it with a pad? I'm gonna ask people the same question. Would you go on multi-day traveling in the winter when you don't have a pad? I guess you just take really good care of your hammock, or you plan it doesn't break, or you don't forget a strap, or it gets super cold and you have to go to the ground. I don't know. It's supposed to be minus 13. I think it's like minus 2 or 3 now, Fahrenheit. So one thing I use that pad for is to supplement my temperature too. Like it's rated at 0 Fahrenheit, and the pad underneath me, I've got a pinched nerve in my back too, so I just kind of like mixing things up. I like having the pad sometimes on somebody's floor. Maybe I'm on the ground. I don't really know. Maybe I don't have the pad at all. But that said, I'm straight laying it with the pad. And even when I'm not straight laying it, one disadvantage of the Superior Gear, disadvantage the all-in-one insulation, is that your insulation is only so long and it doesn't move. You don't tug it like a bottom quilt or order a certain, I want to get a bigger bottom quilt and order it. You just have it. This is what it is. So what I get are two things I add to my kit. The pad I'm sleeping on, in case it gets really cold, beyond the limits of your quilt, or windy. That's one thing about a quilt too, is the windier it gets, the more drafty it gets, and I feel like a pad is more predictable, if you will. Like it doesn't get affected by the wind as much. And then the other thing is I have like the classic guy shug you might think of, known with the sit pad. I've got a sit pad. I'm thankful to I think Granny gave me this, but put it in with my winter kit if I'm in a bus stop or something. So if I get in like this, I'm good at the shoulders right now, but I'm kind of lazy. I'm cold at the feet. I could really kind of pitch this hammock up a couple inches more, but I'm not getting out of my hammock. And one thing I can use this pad as is like where my feet, I could slide it into my sleeping bag. Shug is like a YouTube classic. Sneak his pad into a sleeping bag in the winter type of character. But usually I've got it tethered to my cord right now. But because I usually end up in the head where there's just a little cold spot right by my head. It's not like you can just grab your bottom quilt and tug it this way or that way. But that said, the all-in-one integrated hammock, it's the lightest weight thing to go with. And it's pretty simple. You just put it up. So why would you not want to buy one like this? Maybe you like that adjustment to get it up over your feet a little bit, or over your shoulders, or you have different hammocks you want to try. Or just the cost. Maybe you already have you want to get just a cheaper bottom quilt and try it out. If you did that, over there, let me see. Well, you just can't see it from here, actually. I have hanging over there a incubator hammock gear bottom quilt. It's a big bottom quilt. They're extra large, and I say bigger is better. The mistakes I've made are too small of a bottom quilt. Then you're doing it shug style. You're having to shove your pad everywhere in which way. Oh, Shug is a legend. He's just a legend for going. But, he teaches stuff like, hey, bring your sit pad. Put your sit pad in your sleeping bag. Use it. But, I'd rather take a couple more ounces of down and longer length. And I've heard Shug make that point too. Like, hey, just get the full length bottom quilt. Um, and then you can get into your hammock, and if it isn't perfectly pitched or whatnot, or it's too short, I don't like that. I don't like having a cold spot. Like if my feet are cold or if the bottom of my neck's cold. That said, this system is pretty good. It's a 0 Fahrenheit sleeping bag. I think in reality, maybe you order a 15 and you can get it colder with the pad. I don't know where you're hiking. I think they're pretty true to their rating. For instead of a 30-degree Superior Hammock, it starts getting near 25 and you can feel, under 30, you can feel a little bit of cold starting to come in between the baffles and all that. The 0 Fahrenheit here, I feel like I could test it without the pad right now. It's supposed to be minus 13, so I've got my whole system out. I don't feel like the middle of the night having to crawl out of my hammock and blow up my pad. I trust the hammock to about 0, probably more realistically like 5, and you're starting to, if it gets windy, that's the thing. The pad, I take that inflatable thermarest, where is it? I don't know if you can even see it. It's yellow. The yellow thing that everybody camps with. It's 66 inches long. I'm 5'11", so I feel like this is important stuff. I've had to sift through a lot of pads. I've got videos with 5 or 6 pads I'm testing. It's got that fine size where my feet drop off the end of it a little bit, and it lessens my... It's almost like cheating, like laying on a bed or something. And that particular pad, it gets really hard and rigid. It has structure to it. Some of the other pads are, they're good on the ground, but in the hammock, they're a little floppy. They just kind of curve around you and scrunch your shoulders, or obviously a square pad doesn't fit. Hammock's an oval, I used to have the Climate Square pad, or rectangular, it was great. It worked fine, but you'd always see the corner of it sticking way out of the hammock or this and that. Feel like this pad's got the size that's right underneath my body, and then everything else is just supplemented by the bottom quilt or insulation quilting underneath. So it's pretty good, and I'm just used to it because last night I was hanging, I felt like it was colder. I know I got in the hammock -6 or something. It said I thought it said +4 Fahrenheit. It's supposed to go to -13, but they also said the cloud cover's got to break, and I'm still I don't see stars or anything. They even said we're supposed to get some snow. Oh yeah, by the way, I love hammocks because, it's hard for you to see. You just see trees and steepness. Everywhere I grew up and lived, there's been nowhere to set up a tent. And a lot of people are like, why are you using a pad? I'm like, I feel like I'm cheating with a pad. It's so comfortable, but it's taken a lot of work to get it down. And my buddy's like, you like blowing them things up with the pump sack and all? Yeah, I don't know. I do like laying them without the pad too anymore. Like this one, either way, I think you hit that, yeah, like right around 10-foot mark with the hammock, and you can, the Grand Trunk starter I have, it's a comfortable hammock. I think it's like 9'6" by 5 feet, and I can lay that either way. I'm getting some really good kits built up with the hammock, but I'm a decade into, I might be like more than a decade into just playing with hammocks. And my first hammock ideas started emerging in like 2008. I was with this the MCC, or Go MCC, Corps Respond, and North Bay Conservation Corps. We'd be hiking, doing cutting the brush lines way up above the Golden Gate and stuff. And some of the terrain was so interesting. I'd be like, dude, you could just live in this place in a hammock. And I don't know why I gravitated to that thought. Maybe some people are like, man, I want an awesome mansion, or I want a new car, or I want this or that. And I don't know why I'm thinking about being some homeless guy in a hammock, thinking he's cheating life by living in California. But I'd see some of that terrain. It was so beautiful looking out from those outlooks. You see the fog around the Golden Gate or the sunrise up above, or I guess sunset over the ocean. Or you see the sun in the clouds, and I'm like, yeah, if you're just in the hammock and seeing all this, and you just get this good view. People are like, why you lay in your hammock? I just like, I'm in Illinois. It's probably one of the most boring places people think, but the trees above is real pretty, and the owls coming out, and I got Granny's lights just twinkling, and I just keep thinking like, all right, I just value everything. Like, how many winters do we have? I just can't stop looking at they don't show anything on the camera, but there's the twinkling lights and some big old trees above there with the snow on the branches, and you can't see it out of the lens, but like, why are you hanging your hammock? And it doesn't make sense to them. My mom's never even come out and hung in the hammock. All these times I hang hammocks, I don't even really tried it, I guess they just, I don't know, maybe if you have like a husband or wife or whatever you have, and just a significant other, and you're just used to going to bed in the house, and well, you paid for your house, you're paying for the heat, you're paying for a bed. Dang it, I'm gonna stay in this house. I built it. And that's what they did. Granny and Pappy built it. They just bought, paid payments for a long time for some guy for the property, and eventually they started building and drilling a well, and they're just happy they're inside that house, and that's where they're staying, I guess. I don't know. People like that degree of safety. I just like watching my breath.